Hello, dear viewers. It is time for the news here on Rwanda Television. My name is Serge Nhore. As always, we'll begin with the headlines. Candidates in July's presidential and parliamentary elections here in Rwanda have begun to formally submit their candidatures to the National Electoral Commission. The Africa CEO Forum that had been taking place here in Kigali has been concluded. As always, it is always a pleasure when you're able to join us. Now let us go into the details. As we just noted in the headlines, President Paul Kagame, the candidate of the RPF-Inkotanyi party in this year's presidential elections in July, has become the first to submit his candidature to the National Electoral Commission. He was accompanied by the First Lady of Rwanda, the Secretary General of the RPF-Inkotanyi, the Vice Chairperson of the party, as well as other commissioners of the RPF-Inkotanyi party. The National Electoral Commission has begun accepting the documents of candidates that will stand in the presidential elections and will continue to do so until the 30th of this month of May. Now, the RPF-Inkotanyi party and the Liberal Party have submitted their lists of candidates that will be vying for the parliamentary seats in July. PAIR has submitted 54 candidates, and others to submit their candidatures for the parliamentary elections have included those who will be competing in special categories, going through institutions like the National Women's and Youth Councils. This will be the first time the presidential and parliamentary elections are being held simultaneously here in Rwanda since the country came out of the transitional period back in 2003. Now again, as we noted in the headlines, the Africa CEO Forum has been concluded here in Kigali. However, at the conclusion, the President of the Republic of Rwanda, His Excellency Paul Kagame, emphasized that the people of the African continent should focus on developing solutions to address the challenges that threaten their progress. This was made clear during the closing panel of the forum. Adam Squizera has the details.
The heads of state of Rwanda, Kenya and Mozambique met on a president panel on the leadership at the pivot, defining Africa's role on the global stage, which was moderated by Alan Chekos, a CNN correspondent. President Paul Kagame emphasized that the people of Africa should unite to find solutions to the challenges facing the continent.
Whether on the stage, the heads of state, or in the audience, the other leaders and business leaders and others from outside, know there are problems that we have to tackle on our African continent. There are many problems across the world. Every continent, every country have their own problems to deal with.
This was also affirmed by the President of Kenya, William Ruto, who noted that making the right choices in the governance is crucial for the continent's progress. He highlighted the effectiveness of the governance that will aid in implementing the key initiatives such as the African Continental Free Trade Area and achieving the continent's broader developmental goals.
My brother Paul Kagame has done a wonderful job on the reform of the AU. He handed over his notes to me. I intend not to let down my brother. This AU, we are going to reform it. And we are going to make AU a fit-for-purpose organization so that we can sort out the things Ali Dangote is talking about, so that we can have clarity in where we want to go. We can get the Africa Continental Free Trade Area moving and being a reality so that our business people can trade across this continent, so that we can move across this continent.
The President of Mozambique, Philip Nyusi, acknowledged the challenges in implementing some of the African continent's development plans. He pointed out that the issues such as insecurity and terrorism pose significant threats, emphasizing the need for sustained efforts to find solutions to these problems.
We know that the continent has gone through so much in terms of colonialism. So this is what we need to take into account in order to move forward. And we understand that what we are doing is good for us. Now, concerning the question related to security in my country. There's been quite a number of efforts together with my brother, His Excellency Paul Kagame, and we discussed on issues related to security. These are crucial points. Security is very important. We need also to have food security. We need to have access to energy, education, and food.
President Kagame also pointed out that there is a need for a voice that brings change on the continent as one of the ways to define Africa's role on the global stage.
So the voice we are looking for, first of all, it must be really a united voice. On our continent, we must work very hard to make sure that you can't have 1.4 billion people with no voice or scattered voices and nothing coming out of that. So we need to come together. But it is a voice about what happens to these 1.4 billion people and things that they have a say in. And they can determine for themselves where they're coming from, what they need to do, where they are going, without really being dictated to.
This president's panel was preceded by a discussion that brought together investors from this continent, focusing on the necessity for Africa to have a strong, unified voice driven by its people. Adam Squizera, RwandaTV News.
Thank you, Adams. Now, with the just concluded Africa CEO Forum having exposed, or rather continue to expose, the many investment opportunities that exist here in Rwanda, officials at the Rwanda Development Board have been calling on investors to continue coming into the country to take advantage of them for the benefit of all.
But one of the sectors that is still of attraction and it is driving that growth is in manufacturing and also construction. In the tourism, of course, there's a need having an economy that is growing fast, looking at our population, 13 million of Rwandans, with 70% of our population young people who are getting educated, getting jobs, and forming homes including needing to have decent lives, decent living neighborhoods. But also the management of our land requires that we do invest also in that sector, but in a way that is progressive, in a way that we also efficiently manage our land. So housing, affordable housing, going high in the sky than using more of the land space is one of sectors that are attractive.
Now, during the forum, it became evident that Rwanda's developmental efforts have continued to be commended by international financial institutions, one example being the IFC.
So when we were talking a few years ago, when I started working on Rwanda and talking to people, at that time, we had a country which said, I want to be a service economy in Africa because I am a landlocked country. So they built all the ingredients that are necessary for it. Business climate, it even at the top of the ranking. Secondly, to build the infrastructure that was necessary. The place where we are sitting here today didn't exist a few years ago. There was no centers, there were no hotels of this quality. The country systematically invested in it to create the condition for it. The third element was the human capital. If you want to be in the knowledge economy and be able to build on this comparative advantage, you needed to think about human capital.
Now on to diplomatic matters. On Friday, the Prime Minister of Rwanda, Dr. Edouard Ngirente, met with Guinea's Prime Minister, the Right Honorable Amadou Ba, and their discussions focused on strengthening the bilateral relations that exist between Rwanda and Guinea. Olive Nete has the details.
The Prime Minister of Guinea, Amadou Ba, emphasized that the discussions aims to strengthen cooperation between the two countries across various sectors, including agriculture, animal resources and education. The objective is to explore and expand opportunities for collaboration in these and other areas, enhancing the bilateral relations.
Nous avons évoqué le niveau de coopération entre la Guinée et
We discussed the level of cooperation between Guinea and Rwanda, and we discussed areas of exploration to further deepen the intensification of these relations as indicated by President Kagame and his counterpart, His Excellency Mamadi Doumbouya. Therefore, we are in a phase of deepening this cooperation between Rwanda and Guinea, and we are in the process of being operational. At the same time, it is for me the pleasure of visiting a country where I have deep admiration, and I salute the capacity for resilience and the extraordinary courage that the people of Rwanda have shown during these 3 decades. They have been able to make their country a benchmark country in economic development and stability. It is a lesson of courage that we are learning from the side of the Rwandan people, and we are trying as far as possible to also learn from Rwanda so that we can also actualize this capacity for resilience and this capacity to rise because the situation is particularly difficult in our country.
The Prime Minister of Guinea is in Rwanda to attend the Africa CEO Forum 2024 being held in Kigali. Dr. Musafiri Ildefonse, the Prime Minister of Agriculture and Animal Resources, points out that Rwanda is ready to work with Guinea in expanding agricultural activities for the benefits of the citizens of both nations.
Discuss the implementation of the visions of the two heads of state, and I think they agreed to speed up the cooperation between the two countries, specifically in the areas of agriculture and tax collections, as well as education, among others. And also the ministers of agriculture and trade have interacted with their counterparts to speed up or to materialize cooperation between agriculture and trade, as well as investment. The two prime ministers agreed that they will be following up on the implementation and execution of the cooperation, and the Prime Minister of Republic of Guinea manifested the gratitude and to be in Rwanda and to learn what happened and how the Rwanda has tried to build the resilience to recover from the tragic history of the genocide against the Tutsi in 1994.
Rwanda and Guinea are expected to sign a cooperation agreement in the fields of agriculture and animal resources. On May 13, 2024, the President of Rwanda, His Excellency Paul Kagame, made an official visit to Guinea, and earlier in January 2024, the President of Guinea, Mamadi Doumbouya, visited also Rwanda. Olive Nete, RTV News.
Thank you, Olive. Members of the General Confederation of Moroccan Enterprises have met with the Rwandan Private Sector Federation, and they did this in order to strengthen economic ties and explore new investment opportunities that exist between the two countries. We have the details with Charlene Furaha.
Is the chair.
The Moroccan delegation included representatives from various sectors. Shakib Alch, President of the General Confederation of Moroccan Enterprises, stated that this meeting symbolizes a new era of collaboration where experiences, resources and expertise will be shared with Rwanda. Jean-François Mobilidi, the president of the Rwandan Private Sector Federation, emphasized that this meeting is an excellent opportunity to boost the economies of both countries.
La mission de cette rencontre était déjà de pouvoir à nouveau nous rappeler de notre accord entre la Fédération.
The purpose of this meeting was to reinforce our agreement with the Confederation of Moroccan Enterprises, signed a few years ago. This agreement aims to connect our members, providing them with a platform of discussion, collaboration, and explore business opportunities. We have also agreed to organize various missions, allowing the Rwandan private sectors to operate in Morocco and vice versa. This partnership will be a great asset in strengthening the relationship between our two countries. We already have ongoing projects together, such as in the pharmaceutical industry, which will help us expand our markets on both sides.
Qu'on n'avait pas avant, et de pouvoir aussi développer l'export de ces produits dans la région.
Anouar Hadi, regional president of the General Confederation of Moroccan Enterprises, expressed his enthusiasm for this visit and the strong relationship between Rwanda and Morocco, hoping that it will lead to fruitful partnerships and enhanced cooperation.
Notre choix du Rwanda, on voit déjà le développement aussi important au niveau du territoire rwandais.
We choose Rwanda as partner because the country is developing well, and political stability is also very important. The achievements Rwanda has made serving as an example at the African level in all economic technological aspects, truly inspires to invest in this beautiful country. Today we are very pleased that the diplomatic and economic cooperation between our countries is thriving under the leadership of the King and His Excellency Paul Kagame. In all honesty, I can say that we are very proud to be African, thanks to the Rwandan example, and I will continue to declare myself an ambassador for Rwanda everywhere. For me, when we talk about Rwanda, it is the country at the heart of Africa, and today Rwanda is exporting the example of success. I hope this success will be realized in all other countries, whether on the African continent or elsewhere in the world.
Et j'espère que ça va être réalisé sur le reste des pays, qui soient limitrophes et sur notre continent en général.
This visit, held alongside the Africa CEO Forum 2024, aims to promote intra-African trade. Both parties hope that this initiative will pave the way for new projects and mutual economic growth. B2B meetings are also scheduled to facilitate direct discussions between entrepreneurs from both countries in the coming days. Charlène Furaha, RTV News.
The staff and students at RICA have held a commemoration event by visiting the Kigali Genocide Memorial Center at Gisozi. The visit has emphasized the need of never forgetting what Rwanda experienced 3 decades ago.
What happened in 1994, the genocide against the Tutsi, is a terrible reminder that we have to stay ever vigilant to prevent these kind of things from happening again. So we appreciate the outstanding display here that helps teach that lesson. We stand in solidarity with all people in Rwanda in opposition of the things that have occurred and in the efforts to prevent them from occurring again. And it's a lesson that needs to continue to be told. You know, it was 30 years ago that these horrible events happened, but we still see issues around the world that remind us that we have to remain ever vigilant. So we appreciate the fact that the government of Rwanda has this memorial that helps teach that lesson. We feel fortunate to be able to bring our students from RICA to this site so they can remember the terrible events their parents went through and make sure that they learn from those lessons and do what they can to prevent it from ever happening again.
The students and staff of the University of Kigali have also held a commemoration event, again emphasizing that the mistakes of the past must never be allowed to be repeated again.
Emphasized that the message they have to take from this Remembrance Day is that it should be never again. And the statement, like Twubache Twiyubaka, it carries out a lot of those type of statements. We are lucky to have a very strong leadership for the past 30 years under the leadership of the President Kagame, and it has been able to promote unity, non-discrimination, self-transformation. And we are saying students are the leaders of tomorrow. They should have in their mind that it should never happen again. And the only way it can never happen again is to be able to have a commitment in their day-to-day action that should never happen again. To have a good commitment in their behaviors that good governance is the only solution to a better Rwanda, is the only solution to avoid genocide, is a better solution to avoid discrimination and create a unity.
You know that some students from university and scholars and researchers involved in genocide perpetrated against the Tutsi. What is the important message you can get to them?
In fact, I said it even today. That was very unfortunate that the so-called university that was there at the time, you could have people call themselves, intellectuals, but you can never a good university intellectual if you don't have strong human values, if you don't have values of good governance, if you don't have values of good leadership. And you are saying that maybe at the time they trained people in being good scientists in chemistry, in being people good in mathematics, but they never give them good values of being good citizens. And I think that's the difference that we have to make today in whatever type of education that we are providing.
Now to other matters. Visa has continued to support more than 20 fintech startups from across Africa in order to accelerate innovation in financial inclusion meeting that happened today on Friday. Cedric Irakoze with the details.
The meeting, organized by Visa Institute, brought together with the National Bank of Rwanda and other commercial institutions with the aim of looking at how speed up the process of transferring money by electronic means.
Twaje muri no nama kureba ibyo batugezaho nka Visa.
We have learned how to solve business problems. At the beginning, you have to focus on the main root cause of that problem to be sustainable in the field of business.
Noneho ugakemura ikibazo neza wizeye ko kiri sustainable.
There are 28 business entities on the African continent that have been selected to be assisted by Visa through training, mentorship, and networking opportunities. It has been shown that Rwanda is one of the best countries in African continent in terms of inclusions and interactions of the companies that have something to do with this technology, which is expected to produce best results.
Innovation for inclusion is what we're trying to achieve with all the stakeholders in the market. So we've understood that there is no single partner that can achieve innovation without partnering with other stakeholders. So from that, we are bringing these events closer to the people. We've had different stakeholders on the panel session, banking sector, from the regulator, and from the fintechs themselves to come together and understand what is it that we are solving for in the Rwandan society.
The National Bank of Rwanda shows the help in speeding up this technology to reach the lower class population.
We are more discussing on opportunities, how do we create financial inclusion, affordability, and enter in sector like agriculture and products that are related to youth and women. Visa has committed to deploy solutions like Visa Pay, lower end, available on feature phone and smartphones, so that the segmentation can also create financial inclusion. They have product and strategy on agriculture and women and youth.
The report of National Bank of Rwanda shows that 93% of the population pay by using this technology, but it was expected that in 2024 will be 100%.
Thank you, Cedric, for that report. Now, students at Rwanda Polytechnic have commended the partnership that exists between the institution and the MasterCard Foundation that has been preparing them for Rwanda's job market. Move on now to health matters, and figures indicate that infant deaths during birth have reduced by more than 16% here in Rwanda in the past 3 years.
From the partnership with Enable Baram project, we had a high mortality rate among the newborns, which was around 15.9 when we consider the institutional death comparatively to the admission in oncology department. At now, currently, we are at 6.9, which significantly decreased the death among the premature babies, which was the first cause of mortality in our department.
We have a research project or program going on here. There are 25 small studies. No extra funding apart from technical assistance from myself and my colleague who's a statistician. And we do the research to try to improve the health outcomes of babies and mothers when they leave this hospital. So we use the highest international standards of research. And when we do each of the researches, we support the doctors and nurses. It's their studies. We just help them to do their studies because they know what's wrong, they know what their problems are. And we start by looking at data, we look at figures, then we ask questions. We do that in a very research-orientated way. We have proper questionnaires. And then we look at we do the analysis and we look at the results. And these results have helped this hospital. But much more than that, they have also been presented at different forum. They've been presented to the district directors of health in the hospitals in Rwanda, and they have informed the new Health Sector Strategic Plan 5. So some of the results from our studies have been used to tell us what we need to do in the next 5 years in the whole of Rwanda. And it goes beyond Rwanda. Other countries in East Africa, they can also benefit from these results.
We have international collaboration programs with 14 countries, and the one with Rwanda is one of the biggest. Every 5 years, we start a new program, and at that moment, we fix the sectors and the priorities of those programs. Here in Rwanda, we are very much aligned with the clear vision the government has, Vision 2050 and NST1, who are completely integrated in our programming efforts with the Rwandese government. So this program is coming to an end now. It started in 2019 and it will stop this June 2024. But in January of this year, we signed the next program, the program for 24 to 29. And because we are very proud of what we achieved in this first program, we will continue working in the same sectors, that is health, why you are here today, but also urbanization and agriculture. We will continue these efforts, and I'm sure we'll continue to progress together on the successful path.
That report brings us to the end of this edition of the News in English. I'm glad you were able to join us. I hope you have a great weekend ahead of you. Goodbye.